What is going on, Clippers fans? Welcome to Season 3, Episode 10 of Clips and Dip. I am Chuck Mockler, joined by Adam Oslin and William Updike. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching us over on YouTube, youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast. You can subscribe if you want to watch us also talk about the Clips as opposed to just hearing us. We got some fun stuff today. We're going to be talking the Clippers schedule. People are upset about the back-to-backs. We're talking the Rico Hines run. And then we have one dip to talk about. But before we get into it, Adam, Will, how are you guys doing on this scorching hot Sunday afternoon in Los Angeles?
I'm okay. I'm feeling all right. Saw Alien Romulus a little bit earlier.
Okay.
If you guys want a succinct review. Unnecessary.
Wow.
But also, there's not a lot going on right now movie-wise. I know you weren't looking forward to Deadpool Wolverine, so if you could get it for $10 to $15, whatever, check it out.
Okay, I've heard mostly good things about it. Will, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm a little under the weather from a long Charles birthday weekend.
Yeah, it's been a fun time. We were bowling it up yesterday. Adam had a couple celebrity shots. I think did you get a strike? I thought you got one.
I got, after hitting nothing, which this underscores my bowling game, I just throw it overhand as hard as I can. After going for a gutter ball, then I hit a spare, knocking a ball down afterwards. I don't think it counts as a strike, but I'll take it.
It was a great time. Shout out Shadowlands. So the Clippers schedule is released. We've all seen it. We've all been kind of upset about the back-to-backs. It's the first one at Intuit Dome. How are we feeling about the schedule? There's 16 back-to-backs for the Clippers. I don't know. A lot of other teams have 16 back-to-backs.
Not the Lakers. Not the Warriors.
How do you feel about the schedule?
I don't feel great about it at all. It's the second toughest strength of schedule in the NBA this season. And while there are some things that are better, that should be, I don't know if we can give the NBA too much credit for not giving them any more afternoon matinee home games. That kind of was built in. When you build a new arena, you would expect that. That's baked in. 16 back-to-backs to me, because of what's going on with Kawhi Leonard and how we expect him to be load managed again, maybe severely. I don't know if they're going to handle it, but they're going to try something. Is he just out of those 16 games? And then you're talking about just a team that is lacking firepower, even if James Harden is available for all of those, and lacking shot creation. So, yeah, I'm concerned. 16 back-to-backs. Look, people could say it's whining, it's complaining. Those people are typically fans of teams that don't have the schedule the Clippers have. So it's very easy in those moments to be like, you guys are just complainers. I don't know. The Lakers pay rent in their building, and they only have 13 back-to-backs, and they also play in LA. So there's a team you can line up comparable schedule-wise, at least you would think, to the Clippers. And I know there's imbalances in schedules, but when you deal with this year in and year out for so long as a Clipper fan, I think there's some legitimacy to just being a little bit frustrated. The first year you get your new arena, and it still feels like you have one of the toughest schedules in the NBA, and you have the maximum amount of back-to-backs that anyone else does in the NBA.
Yeah, I think there are some tough stretches. I mean, the first 5 games isn't exactly easy. Phoenix, Denver, Warriors, Portland, Phoenix, back-to-back. But I've just always been so upset about the schedule that now I'm just like, I want to see what it looks like to have a shitty schedule with our home stadium now. You know what I mean? Everything's going to be easier theoretically because of that. It should make things a little easier in terms of, we talked about the practice facilities, just all that stuff. So I think, I don't know, they have 17 games in March again.
How about that, Chuck?
Which I don't necessarily love that. I will definitely freak out about that, which will be fun. But Will, what do you think? Are you knocking down Adam Silver's door with a torch, demanding him to redo the schedule?
I mean, I really don't get it. It kind of feels like a joke at this point.
The amount of back-to-backs?
Yeah, the amount of back-to-backs, just the difficulty of the schedule. And I mean, I guess that you can't really take into account like the age of a team and sort of like the injury history, because that maybe would be too favorable to lean things in the Clippers' way. I'm just looking for something middle of the road. How about that? Like, it doesn't even have to
Meet
be
me in the middle
favorable.
somewhere.
How about just average? How about just
Yeah.
an average number of back-to-backs, average number of difficulty on the
That's fair.
schedule? Like, I'm not looking for any sort of special treatment here. And no noon
That's
games, I do think is huge. I think that my hope is that that actually ends up being a bigger advantage than the number of back-to-backs is a disadvantage, right? And I think after our tour of Intuit Dome, I think that we're pretty high on the idea of everything being pretty integrated together there, with the practice facility, all the medical stuff being in one building. Like, I do think there's something to be said about being able to eliminate some of the players' like unnecessary travels and stuff. And do I think that driving in your car an extra 2 hours a day is going to necessarily make you more prone
How
to
many
injury?
wins is that? How many
Not
more
like
wins
not necessarily, but I mean, there is like a mental fatigue and there is like a fatigue aspect to it that I do feel like I'm hoping that it can offset some of this difficulty of schedule. I think the biggest thing to look out for, and I think we're going to get a very good idea in the first week, is how much of an advantage can we as the fans milk out of this new arena. We're milking it. The milkman.
Milkman delivers my milk in the morning.
How can we kind of bring the energy and stuff when there is, the doldrums of the schedule that we all know, especially like around the All-Star break, and then towards the
even like
towards
November.
towards the very like latter quarter of the season and stuff. Like, how much can the fans try to make a difference for those guys, and especially on nights when one or both of Kawhi or Harden is not going to be out there.
Yeah.
I like what Will said. How about just something average?
Just give us. I like that too.
Going from F- schedule to a D- schedule doesn't move me. And I understand, hey, it's great. No more afternoon games on a Saturday or Sunday. That is the bare minimum of what could happen when you get your arena. I can't give much credit for that happening, honestly.
I mean, that's fair. I wasn't saying, I'm not, trying to give him.
I want to get Chuck pissed off, basically, is what I'm saying. I'm waiting for it. I want the eruption.
We'll see where I'm at in February when we're looking at March and stuff like that. But it's like, I like what Will mentioned about the fans too. It's gonna, we got a home court advantage. That's gonna be interesting to see. Especially, opening night's gonna be awesome. I hope we can get the dub against Phoenix. That would be great.
If you're looking at the first 10 games, I'd sign up for 5-5 right now, right?
Yeah, let me share my screen. I believe we have the capabilities for that. And also, when you were looking at the strength of schedule thing, was it just looking at like their last year's win percentage?
No, it takes into account back-to-backs. It's a crazy formula. It takes rest disadvantage games they have, which I think is 13, which is most in the league. So, they're coming off a back-to-back. The other team is well rested. Those type of things. It came from Tomer Azarli. I think Justin Rousseau also had it. But it's a high-level analytical schedule formula that spits this out and says the second toughest schedule in the league. Tied for the second toughest. I think the toughest was Portland.
That sucks for them. I'd be pissed if I was a Portland fan. God, Twitter's so garbage. I hate this platform. All right. The first 5: Phoenix, Denver, Golden State, Portland, Phoenix. We're going 2 and 3 in there would be expected. It's a tough opening 5.
Then OKC, San Antonio, Philadelphia,
Philly,
Sacramento, Toronto's your next 5.
Yeah.
I'll take 5-5 to start things off this season, honestly, because you have a
Yeah.
back-to-back almost right away at Portland,
Sure.
then taking on. Excuse me, the first back-to-back is Denver Golden State. So
yeah, we
the
have 2
second and third
back-to-backs
game.
essentially in the
In
first
the
week.
first week.
Get angry, Chuck. Do it. Do it. Look at this thing.
It's
How can you
always-
justify that?
I'm not. Okay, well, I don't want to. I'm
You
not
want to defend this
justifying
crap?
it. Yeah, I'm not. I don't want to say I'm pro this schedule. I'm not making that argument at all. I have been
just
told
numb.
that this. I am just numb. That's what I'm just like. All right, I've been. You've been hitting the head so many times. At some point, you stop feeling it.
But this is a new level of injustice because they have their own arena. The
Yeah.
Lakers don't have their own arena. They're in LA too. Why is their schedule better?
They do. So there was some good news, bad news from Justin Rousseau. They travel almost 5,000 fewer miles this year. Wow. Big.
Still the 5th most miles traveled.
Of
right?
course.
Yeah.
But they're also tied for the Bucks with the most rest disadvantage games.
Is it 13?
Yeah, and they have 13 rest advantage games, which they have the 3rd highest of.
All right.
So that basically cancels it out.
How do you guys feel about, because you play everyone in the Pac Div 4 times? How do you guys feel
I know
about
how the division play works.
the
most
other
important?
The other teams, they end up playing 4 times. I believe it's OKC, Dallas, San Antonio, Portland, and Houston.
I mean, I don't like playing OKC and Dallas 4 times. That's a lot of defending and playing really good teams.
You get Portland, though, 4 times.
Sure.
San Antonio, in theory, still might not be a play-in team. We'll see.
Well, in the Dallas ones, 2 of them are back-to-backs. It's a home back-to-back at the end of the season is one of them, which is super weird.
Houston could be a team they're competing with all season long in the standings. I could see that happening, and they get them 4 times. So I'd say it's somewhat balanced there.
Yeah.
I'll concede that.
Well, the Rockets thing is tough because if the Clippers finish better than the Rockets, we still get to keep our pick.
Right.
So playing them 4 times is huge. We need to probably go 4-0 in those games.
Will, are you feeling better or worse?
Same.
Join the numb club, dude. Dive in.
Yeah, same. I don't know. We've made it through before. Whatever. It's just one of those things. Like it's gonna be like it's not even gonna be a footnote in the annals of history of like, why were the Clippers never healthy? Well, they had the worst, one of the worst schedules every single year with aging, already injury-prone players. So.
Right.
And I agree with you. It's not on the league to account for their roster and who they have with Kawhi Leonard. It just compounds things for a team that is older when you think about the fact it might guarantee Kawhi's missing 16 games right off the top because of those back-to-backs.
I don't think he's going to miss all 16. You know what I mean? Like I don't think he sits out every game of the back. I don't think he sits out.
I think I'm actually opposed to him playing back-to-backs.
Oh, I don't want him to play back-to-backs. I've been on record saying they need to revolutionize what load management is this year with Kawhi Leonard. Like they're going to have to get really creative with
that. Means he's missing 16 games though, right off the top, because 16 back-to-backs, he's missing one side of it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's tough.
Because when you think about it too, if they want the max, they have this idea we'll have the max slot after this year. Kawhi's still a part of that equation, I would assume.
It'd be 2026 where they have it, right? So after 2 years. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Actually, Kawhi's probably not in that equation. Isn't his contract up? In 2 years.
Again, the guys that are available, the 2 top guys are Luka and SGA. Are they going to be able to pry away one of those guys? I think it might be in their favor if OKC could win a ring in the next 2 years. honestly, then he'd have more of a reason to be able to leave. He'd have his
Interesting.
out. He brought them a championship like LeBron with Cleveland.
Kawhi would have 1 year. He'd have 26, 27. And then he's a free agent.
Yeah.
Who knows what he does after that.
To your point, though, with James Harden's contract and him having an opt-out after this season, I don't know how much money in theory that could free up. We know it's what, $32 million or $35 million?
36.
So maybe they could do a little moving and shaking.
They might.
Much sooner.
Maybe they sell high on Kawhi this year. Plays good.
Everything is on the table with this team.
Shoots 50, 40, 90 for a month, and you're like, well.
He doesn't have a no-trade clause.
He does not.
Going back to the schedule, it's just overall frustrating.
Fair.
And a little bit unexpected and surprising that they would still end up with the most back-to-backs. Even though it's tied with other teams, great. It's not tied with the same team in their city, and that is what people are comparing it to.
Yeah. Someone did point out, too, our 2 away games against the Lakers are on second nights of back-to-backs, I think.
There are 2 games against Boston, second night of back-to-back against the defending champs.
Well, we're not winning those anyway. Those will be the 2 games we lose. Will's saying it's our year, so they're going to go. They're only going to lose those Boston games. So you would give the schedule makers an F grade, Adam?
D-. From F- to D-.
D-. Will, what are you going? What are you giving the schedule makers?
Yeah, it's got to be like a D-.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm delivering a passing grade for this one.
You're having to call their parents.
What's interesting is I hear people. I love Dime Dropper. I think I'm going on with him later this week. And he's a no nonsense, no excuses type of guy. He doesn't like people complaining about the schedule. I've seen him put out these tweets and stuff. If you don't think the schedule can affect things, then why are good teams typically around 500 on the second night of a back-to-back? If you don't think it is a huge disadvantage to have more back-to-backs, then why does that happen? If Jerry West, who was a no-nonsense guy through and through, the late, great Jerry West now, if he could say something about the schedule, which he did multiple times, and how they need a new home because of this, I think it's fair game to talk about.
Yeah.
We're not going to do this all season long, but this is relevant of what we've marched. Yeah.
What if I flip? What if I just flip and become a guy who is furious at the schedule? Because that's yeah.
I agree with the idea of like there's nothing you can do, right? The schedule is out now. It is what it is. And yeah, we're not going to dwell on it too much, despite, like us talking a lot about it here.
Yeah, it was released this week.
I agree. It is a disadvantage, but like once it's done, it's done. Like there's nothing that we can really do about that. It's kind of, the best you can hope for is that the coaching staff and medical staff is really aware and cognizant of these sort of issues that they're going to face. And they, make a solid game plan for both in-game rest and, managing minutes and things like that to ensure that, even if it's whether it's less minutes, they find out needs to be the situation for Kawhi and or Harden, or if it's more minutes in less games, or just whatever that balance needs to end up being. I hope that they can kind of play with that and figure out, how to make things the best on the margins with the kind of shit deal that they were handed.
Yeah, got Kawhi to like 30 minutes a night. He was at 34, basically at 34 for his Clippers tenure for the most part. Maybe that cut starts to happen. I don't think that's crazy.
No.
Same with Harden.
Does this guarantee young guys even more of an opportunity this season, this schedule now?
Yeah, they have their spots, right? Like, it's those back-to-backs and things. So, like, there is going to be time for Jordan Miller is obviously, I think we all kind of agree, at the top of that list of guys that we, want to see and probably, based on how they played, deserve a legit shot. The roster makes it kind of hard, I think, because if Kawhi's playing the 4, the only other like real 4 we have is Batum. Maybe Kobe. But like,
I think that's a great question.
Yeah.
When Kawhi's out at the starting 4, who is starting?
I think they'll
place of him?
start Nico. And then the bench, it's like, then things get a little wacky.
There's a good chance, though, if Kawhi's missing 16 to 25 games during the season, Nico's not going to be available for all those either. Nico's missed games the
old.
last couple of years.
Yeah,
Nico's
not
36.
Yeah.
Say on nights where they're both out, who's playing the 4?
PJ Tucker's still on the roster.
I know that's what you'd like to see, Chuck, but I don't know if
I don't care about the schedule, and I hope PJ gets a bunch of minutes. That's where I'm at right now. The offseason is ruined.
If we need to make
bench.
up for Paul George's scoring, we know that PJ can actually already exceed that.
Sure.
So
Last time we
that's
saw them,
pretty good spot to be in, honestly.
last time we saw him share the floor. But no, I think yeah, this is the. I mean, if we've said it before, if there's ever been a time for the young guys to get some run, it's during some of these back-to-backs. And now it seems like we have some young guys that they're prepared to give that time.
They know that this is our year. They get it. They understand the assignment.
the stay ready mindset, it has to be there starting now.
Yeah.
We've seen the schedule. Stay ready, guys. That opportunity's coming. It's right around the corner.
I mean, it absolutely is. We're going to talk about some guys who were playing in some stay ready type games. At Rico Hines was James Harden and all of the young Clippers, basically. We're going to do an audio break. So if you're listening to this on audio, thank you so much. You can find us anywhere you find podcasts. If you're watching, thanks for watching. We're not going anywhere. But we'll be back after these ads in 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome back into Clips and Dip. Look, we kind of bemoaned the schedule. It's not ideal once again for the Clippers, but let's get into some stuff that is ideal, which is the Rico Hines runs, which we've seen, a lot of the Clippers building their chemistry there. And we talked about it earlier, but James Harden kind of making an olive, not an olive branch, because that implies some sort of friction, but rolling out the, I'll call it rolling out the red carpet for the young guys, guiding them through the Rico Hines runs. So Charles, what have you taken away from this footage so far?
Like you said, so it was Harden. I mean, Mo Bamba was there, Jordan Miller, Kobe Brown, Cam Christie, Harkless, a bunch of UCLA guys. Jaime Jaquez was there too, but not Kevon Looney. Kobe's, I mean, I don't know. James didn't seem like he was, he was going hard offensively. Defensively, it wasn't exactly a clinic, which is fine. But seeing Kobe and Derrick Jones Jr. kind of have a little spark just in these runs was really cool to see. They were able to find each other. They had some good drive, kick, swing type things. Kobe's really good at cutting. Cam Christie looked comfortable from the footage I saw. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't getting bullied or anything like that. He had a couple nice dunks, which was nice. And then, you saw the range from Derrick Jones Jr. and Mo Bamba was there, is also what I gathered from the footage. I don't, not the strongest showing from Bamba, I don't think, just from what I saw. But Adam, did you watch any of it? I love these runs, by the way. These are like, if you're new to the Clippers, Rico Hines runs. They're ran by Rico Hines at UCLA. Played a 7. It's 1 point. But it's like, it's real run. They're kind of legendary open gyms in Southern California.
It reminded me a little bit of just what a special player James Harden is because of his work ethic. He wasn't supposed to be an MVP player, a top 75 player when he was coming out of Arizona State. And Rico said to the rest of the players, and speaking to what a hard worker he is, he said when James Harden got his MVP in 2018, he was there the very next day doing the exact same stuff.
Oh yeah.
Nothing changed. People like to talk about James Harden, having fun or being a playboy or whatever. Let James Harden be James Harden. It has worked for him very well. And he is one of the hardest workers in the NBA. And he looks good. He looked good in the run, and which could also be telling for just where he's at health-wise, because he was banged up the last couple months of the season. He balled out, was their best player against the Dallas Mavericks. Overall, he was very good in that series. But I like seeing guys that don't need to obviously prove anything, that have done so much in this league, still want to play in these lower level pro-am type of games. Because if he's about to turn 35 and is playing in this stuff, I think he's ready for training camp. I think he's ready to go. And he has been an absolute innings eater over his career, and they're going to need it this year.
Yes, absolutely. Well, how do you like? I mean, obviously, I'm assuming you like seeing the young guys out there with Harden getting run against other pros. Oh,
my mic is refusing to unmute. Yeah, no, I think it's good. I love seeing the veteran leadership, especially of someone like Harden, who I think gets an overly bad rap in that sort of department. I mean, he kind of gets sort of the treatment where people talk about him like he's like this terrible locker room guy, or like has all these bad habits and stuff, and makes things miserable. And I don't think that has been necessarily fair. I'm sure that there have been times and positions in his career where maybe he wasn't the cheeriest guy in the locker room.
Sure.
But I do think that it says a lot, and I do think that the importance of the young guys is not lost on our two aging stars right now, right? They understand if this team has any sort of a puncher's chance at a deep playoff run, it's going to be because these young guys develop enough to a point where they can take the reins some nights in the regular season, and still be successful. So I think that's like a great recognition, and I do just also like it as a tone setter move for Harden throughout the rest of the season, right? Because we've talked about how many freaking conversations have we had on this podcast about like the leadership or identity of the Clippers. Right. And I think, what really needs to happen is like one guy just needs to take the reins and say, hey, I'm the voice in this locker room. And this is how things are going to go. And this is what's going to be expected. And it'd be great if it came from one of your best two players, obviously, but if it's not going to be one of those guys, it has to be somebody. But I like that Harden seems to be taking the initiative.
And again, PJ Tucker's still on the roster. He could be that guy too, if we don't get that from Harden. But it's awesome.
If he has enough time, he's got a lot of media. He's got a lot of media appearances. Yeah. He's got to talk to a lot of. He's got to talk to SoCal News Group quite a bit. So
if he doesn't get sent home for not being that guy, he can definitely be that guy.
I hope they do some more games. I hope some more stuff comes out. Just really cool to see. Some other news from Intuit Dome. There's going to be free shuttles to Intuit Dome, which is pretty rad. They're going to be from Pierce College, the Expo Sepulveda Metro Station, Harbor Gateway Transit Center, where Will and I used to catch the 950 to go to games when we worked in Torrance, and then the El Monte Metro Station and Union Station, which is awesome. You love free transportation. It's going to make everything easier over at Intuit.
It seemed like it was running fairly smoothly too for the first run to the concert. I didn't hear people like complaining about it too much or anything.
Yeah, I heard there was some.
I know traffic was really bad. I heard that traffic was a bit of a nightmare, but there's only so much you can do about that. But
yeah,
if people do opt to use this option of free transportation, that can alleviate some of that.
For sure. And that's fun vibes. Have you ever done the Dodgers Express before a game? That could be a good time on the Dodgers Express.
Do you
hit tracks at Union Station, then freaking shuttle on over? It's great.
Do you get to climb up through that sewer cap we saw in the bowels of Intuit Dome when we got our tour?
Funny. I felt like I was like hallucinating. I was like, that's like an old ass Ninja Turtles style, just sewer manhole cover. I saw some people. Apparently, there was obviously Bruno Mars opened up the Intuit Dome this week, and there was some kinks with people getting into the stadium. And I heard on day 2 everything was super smooth. They had like the escalators were all good to go. It's like,
we said there'd be hiccups, right? It's expected.
The facial recognition stuff too. I mean, this is still relatively new technology. I mean, they've even when companies like Amazon and stuff have tried to do this on a smaller scale, like just for like a little grocery
Amazon
store,
fresh thing failed,
or corner store, like there has been a lot of difficulty. So it's not. It is to be expected.
And you also don't need to do the facial recognition stuff. Is the other part. You just don't have to do that if you don't want to.
You can just add it to your Google Wallet or Apple Wallet or whatever.
That's what I did. But yeah, excited people. I've also seen, I'm sure you guys have seen this on Twitter, some people kind of lamenting the price of game 1 for Clippers versus Suns, which I can see both sides of the argument, but also it's the opening of a brand new stadium, state of the art. It's going to be expensive to go see the first game.
I kind of see it both ways. I mean, like,
I do, but like
opening night, for any sport is generally going to be one of the more expensive tickets. You add in the thing of being a completely new stadium. Of course, people are going to jack the prices up. But at the same time, like, I don't want the Clippers to get away from, I think, like, what's made them so ingrained in the community, which is providing a really good fan experience for a generally a better price point. And I understand, obviously, with the new stadium, you got to make money, you got to do all that stuff, and the amenities are great, but like, it would be a bummer, and because we already have heard from some season ticket holders who, maybe didn't want to renew due to the price hike or whatever, but they got to stay in their roots and in the community thing, because ultimately that's how you win the city over. If you ever want to be, which I don't even know if it's possible, but if you ever want to be not the little brother, I think it's getting in with families and having that sort of experience, so you can foster young fans in this system, right? But yeah, totally. I get it. It's game 1. I just hope it's something that they're thinking of and sort of keeping in mind.
I agree with all that. It does seem, though, that they're trying to balance it. The Wall has some really good deals, and even higher up, we were talking about it coming out of the tour. You could get those tickets for, sounds like, under $2,000, and they're really good seats, even if you're at the very top. So there are options there for some cheaper seats. Opening night, new arena.
That'd be crazy.
There can't be this. Beggars can't be choosers. We want a new arena, but we also want all these stipulations for it to be just so perfect to fit exactly what we want. It's never going to be that way. Sure. You got to take a lot of good with still some bad to be expected, with prices being increased because the amenities are the greatest in the world for an arena. Yeah, it's literally the highest tech arena in the world.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, if you went to the Bruno Mars show, let us know over at Clippers Pod on Twitter. Let us know your experience. If you took the show,
I haven't heard anything. I'm curious to know if you went, like, what your experience with the audio was, because
how the concert sounded. Yeah,
because another thing we were told on the tour is that they actually, like, purchased, like, the preferred audio system that touring musicians, I guess, generally end up just, like, sort of renting. And bringing into the venue and paying, like, a third party to kind of deal with this whole thing. So they just went ahead and went out and bought it. So you don't have to rent anything or bring anything in, but it is a space. The physical space itself was designed for basketball. So I'm just curious to know, like, what the like audio experience was, if anybody has any input or thoughts on that. I didn't hear anything bad, so that like that's a good sign. It's one of those things I'm just legitimately curious about.
I know Vlad went, so Clipper Vlad, if you want to tell us how the audio sounded, let us know.
Ryan Seaman hit me up and said it was incredible. Total madness. He can't wait for the basketball season.
It's gonna be loud. It's gonna be very loud. Before we get out of here and let people on to their week, we have one dip to talk about. I did not bring one. I'm using the birthday pass for this. I'm much too exhausted from a very busy weekend. I have no idea what Adam's excuse is.
I need Tums.
That's a very good excuse. If you just say I need Tums.
Here's my dip. It's the pink stuff. Pepto-Bismol. No. I'm dipping a Tums tablet into
it. But Will, you have a dip. Would you like to break down the dip and what you're eating, and if you would take it to a barbecue?
Yeah, so I have a signature select. This is a artichoke parmesan dip, which if you'll remember, if you're a true Clips and Dip review connoisseur, I previously had a similar dip from Signature Club that was the artichoke jalapeno, which I would say I liked a little bit better, a little kick. The consistency of this is really good. Some nice pieces of artichoke in there. Nice creamy, creamy, good texture, good consistency. Just wish there was maybe like a little bit more kick, a little bit more flavor.
Something to pop.
Yeah, eating it with just some cucumber slices, which good little treat. Some old Persian cucumbers, spears. But yeah, I would take this to a barbecue. It's it's pretty good. If I had the option though of this or the jalapeno artichoke dip, I'm definitely leaning that way.
Okay.
But yeah, Vaughn's, they got some pretty good dips. I've been mostly a Ralph's man, and I'm kind of, as of late now, more of a Vaughn's man.
Wow, a big transitional period for you.
It's a much better. I'm gonna say it's a much better customer experience for a few reasons. A, there's less fucking shit locked behind walls. If you need a stick of deodorant or
you don't have to go ask for
even
it,
a
like
bar of soap,
child.
bar of Dove soap that costs like
$1.65
$1.65 is in a case.
Are kids huffing soap now? Is that what they're gonna lock it up?
The case?
I have no
need
idea.
Deodorant. I hate fucking asking that shit.
Also, the Ralphs that I generally go to, it'll be a Sunday at like 5 p.m. and there's one checkout lane open.
Vaughn's has that issue too, though.
Not by me. Not by me, buddy.
All right. We're going to get into this on our
I'm a Pavilions guy, but whatever.
That's freak shit. I'm an H Mart guy. I've been going to mostly H Mart, but we'll talk about this on. We're going to start a
Quickie Mart guy.
We're going to start a Patreon where we just talk about our LA supermarket experiences. Will, thank you for upholding the dip segment of the show.
Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to put the work in.
Mr. Integrity.
He's proud of how
I'm at the Rico Hines runs. You guys are freaking sitting on your bark.
I'm watching them. Yeah. I've had a long week. It's been very through my own doing. We are going to be back next week. We might have a guest. We will have dips. We will absolutely have dips. And that's a Clips and Dip guarantee. Will, where can these people listen to us if they would like to hear us?
Yeah, you can listen to this show wherever you get your podcasts. If you happen to listen over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, if you could leave us a little rating or review, really help us out. We'd appreciate it. But yeah, like I said, you can get it anywhere you listen to podcasts. If you want the full 3-dimensional experience of this podcast, you got to check us out over on youtube.com. That's at Clippers Podcast. We love to chop it up with you over there. But yeah, however you listen or view, we appreciate you.
We really do. And Adam, one positive thing, if you can think of anything to send these Clippers fans out to start their week, this is a really important one.
So Alien Romulus is kind of like the Clippers schedule. It's better than pretty much every Alien movie since Alien 3. Still kind of bad, but better than it has been in the past, just like their schedule, which goes from an F- to a D-. How about that for some positivity?
Hey, and with that, I hope everyone has a wonderful week. I hope everyone has a D- week, is what Adam is communicating here, is what it feels like.
D's get degrees. That was the saying, right?
They do not.
D's, man.
D's do not get degrees.
7-minute abs.
Thank you all for listening. We will be back next week. And as always, let's go Clips.